All right, today we're going to talk about something we all think we have, but none of us can ever get back: our time. We're going to dig into a paradox from our source material that might just completely change how you look at every single week of your life. Okay, let's just start with the one number that matters most: 4,000. That's it. If you're lucky enough to live to be 80 years old, that's your budget: 4,000 weeks. And while it sounds like a big number, you're about to see just how fast it disappears. And what's kind of crazy is how much of that budget is already spent before you even make a choice. A third of your life gone, just sleeping. Another quarter is going to be spent at work. And then you've got about 15% for just, well, maintenance, eating, commuting, chores, the basics. These are the giant, non-negotiable slices of your life. And this is where it gets really stark. The data shows that by the time you hit 20, you've probably already used up 80% of all the time you'll ever get to spend with your parents. 80%! And by 30, 90% of your body's peak physical energy is already in the past. These are what the source material calls life's vanishing points. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? We all act like we can just make up for lost time later, as if it grows on trees. But all the data, everything, points to the complete opposite. It's the only currency in the entire universe that you can't earn more of. It's absolutely finite. So, okay, when you subtract all those non-negotiable things, sleep, work, chores, you're left with this surprisingly small sliver of time that's actually yours to control. And that begs the really big question: what are we doing with what's left? And that leads us right into this huge central conflict of our modern lives. We're about to unpack what the source calls the great paradox, this really bizarre habit we have of trading our limited, precious lifetime for a number on a screen. Think about it. This is the trade most of us make without even realizing it. In the first half of life, we basically cash in our most valuable assets: our time, our youth, our health, all in the name of getting more wealth. And then what happens? We spend the second half of life using that wealth to try and buy back a tiny piece of the health and time we gave away. It's a crazy deal when you see it laid out like this. You ever have that feeling where the better you get at your job, the more work just appears? Well, there's a name for that. It's called the efficiency trap. We get all these amazing tools to save time, we learn to work faster, but what's the result? Not more free time. The system just expands to fill every second we saved with even more to do. Just let that sink in for a second. That's the real consequence of this trap. We're not banking hours to spend on things we love. We're not stockpiling free time. We're just getting better and better at running ourselves into the ground. We're optimizing our own path to burnout. So if becoming more efficient and checking off more boxes isn't getting us where we want to go, then we've got to totally rethink our approach, right? It forces us to ask a much, much deeper question. What is a day actually worth? And that brings us to this really powerful way of reframing our relationship with time. Let's forget the 4,000 weeks for a minute and zoom all the way in on the only account you can actually control: your daily deposit. Just imagine this. There's a special bank, and every single morning it drops a fresh deposit into your account. You can't save it for tomorrow, you can't borrow from the future. And at midnight, anything you didn't use, it's just gone. Forever. 86,400, that's the number. That's your daily allowance of the most valuable resource on Earth. It's not some abstract idea. It's a concrete, non-negotiable deposit you get every single day. And here's the tough part. The one brutal rule of this bank: there are no do-overs, no rollovers. The responsibility for how you invest or waste that daily fortune, well, that's entirely on you. Every night, the balance goes back to zero. The loss is yours, and yours alone. And this is where our thinking usually gets all twisted. We spend so much of our energy, maybe 75% of it, just obsessed with accumulating more money, more stuff, more status, but we spend so little time, maybe 25% if we're lucky, actually thinking about how to wisely spend the one thing we get for free every morning. This just flips the whole script on what a successful life is. It's not a game of accumulation. The most important metric in your life isn't what you've gained, it's what you've chosen not to waste. It's about how many of those 86,400 seconds you truly invested instead of just letting them slip away. So let's strip it all away. Forget the charts, the paradoxes, the big numbers. When you boil it all down, all this data is just pointing us toward one simple, final truth. At the end of every single day, the clock resets. Poof, back to zero. This is the great equalizer. Doesn't matter who you are, how much money you made, what you did or didn't do, that account always, always returns to zero. But here's the incredible part, the truly empowering idea in all of this. You might not be a billionaire in dollars, but for today, for these 86,400 seconds, you are unbelievably wealthy. You have a fortune that no one can touch, that only you can spend. So, after all is said and done, it really just comes down to this one intensely personal question. The only question the clock is really asking you. Given this finite, precious daily fortune, what is the one thing that's truly worth spending it on today?